Welcome back. Did you know that you can simplify data pipelines and load multiple CSV files into polars at once? In this video, I'll show you how to leverage this powerful functionality. Let's dive in. First, let's take a look at our CSV files. We have this folder here that contains our marketing cost data. There is one file for each month of the year, and each one contains the exact same schema. We'll say that our company's marketing manager wants this data combined into a single file. So our objective is to place each of these into a single data frame and then export it as one CSV. Now we could read each of these in one by one and then concatenate them together, but that would require multiple lines of code. That said, we can accomplish this same task using a LazyFrame. Let's dive into that now. So I'm going to come into this first cell here, and I've already got the polars import ready to go. I'm just going to run that cell. And then our next step will be to make a list of all the file paths that we have in this folder here. Now, that would take a long time to do here in this tutorial. I'm actually going to just copy and paste from my notes just to make that part a little bit easier. Go ahead and paste that in there. And so now we have all of the file paths that are corresponding to all of these here. And we're going to use that and input that into our scan CSV function. Let's go ahead and run that. So now that we have our file paths set, we can use the scan CSV function to read in all of them at once. So I'll come down to this next cell here, and I'm going to type data, set it equal to pl.scan_CSV. And then I'm going to use the file paths variable that we defined up above here. And the next thing that we're going to pass is try parse dates. If you take a look at one of these files, we do have some data types here. So I'm going to be using the try parse dates to read those in correctly. I need to set that to true. And then we're going to use another parameter here, and that is the include file paths. We're going to set that equal to path. And what this is going to do is it's going to basically do what I was saying before up here, where it's going to take each row and it's going to assign a new column that basically tells us what path that row of data is coming from. So you'll see that here in just a second. Let's go ahead now, and we're actually going to collect this into a data frame. So remember, we're using scan CSV, which means if we were just to read it in as is, it would basically just read in as a LazyFrame. But we are going to use the collect method to immediately convert it into a data frame. Okay, I'm going to just under that type data and then run this code. So in the output, we get a data frame that contains all of the files appended together. And since we used the include file path parameter, we can see exactly what row belongs to each file. Now, this is obvious already because of the context, but it is a handy feature nonetheless that you could use on other projects. Our final step is to export this combined data frame as a new CSV file. And we've done this before, so it's not going to be too difficult. We're just going to come into this next cell down here, type data, and then write CSV. And then we just need to give it a name, and I'm just going to say combined marketing costs. Okay, and we can run that. Now we should get this new file here, and if we open it up, you can see we've got our two columns that were existing in all of these CSV files and our new path column that we added in as well. But this has all of the data from January to December, and pretty handy feature for combining data sets. I'm going to go ahead and close this. And now this was just a simple example, and based on my own experiences, marketing managers would probably prefer to see aggregate totals for each month, but it does introduce you to the powerful capabilities Polars has for building data pipelines. After you get all of the data together, you could aggregate it in Polars or push it to a database and query it there. It all depends on your needs. With that, that is all we have for this video. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post them in the chat, and we'll catch up with you at the next one.